In this tutorial, we'll explore the histogram, the final member of the scope family found in the Lumetri color suite. The histogram is a useful tool for analyzing the luma and chroma intensity of an image and provides an accurate visual representation for balancing shots in the shadows, midtones, and highlights. Now, generally I don't use this scope a whole ton, but I'd still like to explain to you what it does and how it can be beneficial. Traditionally, you've probably seen histograms as being read from left to right, with the shadows at the left and the highlights on the right. However, in the Lumetri histogram, it reads from the bottom to top, with the shadows or pure black at the bottom and the highlights or pure white at the top. The luma values of the red, green, and blue channels are read as though the pixels are linked to each other from left to right, with the least amount of luma represented in the trace on the right and the greatest amount of luma on the left. Similar to the other Lumetri scopes in Adobe Premiere, the default histogram is displayed as an 8-bit scope and is represented by values ranging from 0 for the shadows to 255 for the highlights. To change the display type for images that are 10-bit or higher, just click on the drop-down menu where it says 8-bit and select Float. You'll notice that the numeric values change range from 0 to 1.0. For HDR projects, choose HDR from the drop-down menu. Let's set it back to 8-bit to reflect the bitrate of the media in our timeline. Let's look at some images with the histogram. In this first image, we can see the highest concentration of pixels is bunched up in the low range. That suggests that the image is underexposed. In the next shot, the highest concentration of pixels are gathered towards the top of the scope in the high range. This suggests that the image is overexposed. An image that is exposed correctly will display a range of pixels through the shadows, midtones, and highlights without an excessive amount of bunching in the shadows or highlights. Images that have white balance or color temperature issues, you'll see the trace for the red, green, and blue channels appear uneven in either the shadows, midtones, or highlights. And finally, when the image goes beyond the highlight range, it is clipped. And when an image goes below the shadow range, it is crushed. Well, this concludes the Scopes module. I hope you found these tutorials helpful and feel more confident with using the scopes as part of your color grading. In the next section, we'll actually show you how to apply this knowledge of understanding how to read the scopes to help us in doing our color grading. So stay tuned.